The last time I worked the Magic Castle, I came out with this, a little clear emergency box with a card inside. I put it on the table, referred to it through the act a few times. Don't worry, we don't have an emergency yet. And at the end of the act, after I'd already done a trick with a sign selection, I said, I'd like to end with something incredible, but I can't, because you deserve something impossible. In fact, I consider it an emergency. And I looked over at that clear little box they'd been staring at the entire night. I took off the lid, and as they watched, I poured the contents into my hand. I said, how could this be incredible? How could it be impossible? Only if it was your signed two of spades. What this does, and what it just did, is switch a card they see for, in this case, a signed selection. But there's a lot it can do, and it does it all in a clear box. I call it the clarity box. The signed card to container, an invention of Bruno Hennig. I was taught that many years ago, a German magician. I assume Bruno Hennig had to be some guy in the 1800s running around with a good idea, maybe a contemporary of Charles Dickens. That's not true. I went online, found footage of Bruno in 1971 performing another invention of his, the floating cork, the same trick that Fred Capps did. Well, Bruno invented it, and he performed under the name of Joro and was on television a lot overseas in Germany and whatnot in the 60s and 70s. And here's a photo of him from just last year, June of 2012, receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award from the German Magic Circle. This man, Bruno Hennig, wonderful contributor to the field of magic, including the very, very clever sign card to ring box. How does it work? Well, the container, in this case a $2 or $3 Sure Shot die box, can be anything. What you do is fold the card, which is an X card, a card we don't care about, you never see it, and adhere it to the bottom of the container. The rest is, well, two motions that occur at the same time. One is the hand that's holding the dummy card acts as if to dump that dummy card into the other hand. Of course, nothing can fall out. The other hand has palmed in it the sign selection. Don't worry, I'll tell you how to fold the card a little bit later. You put the two motions together, and you have a perfect illusion of dumping out a folded card from that canister. And that is the principle behind sign card to ring box. There's never any heat on the canister. You just pick it up, put it away, it's ready to go for your next table, your next gig, whatever. That is the essence of what makes this illusion so powerful. Why is it a powerful illusion? Well, it plays into very simple elemental physics that we learned before we're even old enough to talk. The idea that if you have a container, maybe it's a container of milk, if you turn it, it will spill. Contents will descend from the container. We know that. We feel it in our heart and soul. So in the case of this effect, once they see an item sitting in a container and the hand begins to turn, we assume that item is going to fall out. So when we corroborate that assumption with the illusion, there's absolutely no heat on the container because what was supposed to happen did happen. The container goes away, they open up their card, and it's one of the most baffling card effects there is. Many improvements were made to the Bruno Hennig concept. I believe it was Scotty York who put a little piece of thread on the card so it can move around in the box a little bit, shake, before the illusion was performed of dumping. So you saw a little bit of loose movement. Jamie Ian Swiss added a few other items to the box, such as pills or mints. And when he inverted the box, the truly loose items fell into the hand and coalesced with the palmed card. Very nice illusion, very nice addition. But they all, as I say, work with the same core concept, as does my box, the Clarity Box. And I should tell you, in the marketplace, there are many versions of this that are extremely clever. John Kennedy has one, his mystery box, which is a wood box. You see a card in there, he dumps out that card, and then the interior of the box is empty. Steve Valentine also had something like that in his act with a prop that he made. Mark Mason has a card box that it's very, very expensive, but it's a very clever way of doing this illusion. They all are basically, though, the same effect as far as a layperson, what you're presenting in the plot. The plot is a concealed object is revealed by taking off a lid and then dumped out. What makes the Clarity Box truly different, besides its mechanics, which we will talk about, is it's a slightly different plot. You use the Clarity Box when you want them to see an item on display instead of a concealed item. It's an item they know about. It's there, hermetically sealed, in a clear box. When the time comes, you take off the lid, you dump out the contents, but it's not a mysterious item. It's an item they knew about all along. So even though the mechanics are different, the true difference is in terms of plot. There are many occasions for which an opaque container is going to be correct for that plot, the plot you're doing. You don't want people to know what's in this box. The Clarity Box is for those occasions when you want people to know. When for the plot you're presenting, it makes sense for them to see what's in that box. So how does the Clarity Box work? Well, again, basically it's Bruno Hennig's brilliant card to ring box. But the way this box works is, well, it is a regular box. In the back there's a gimmick, and we'll pull out the gimmick in a minute, but let me just show you how it works. This sign is really more than a sign. It's a flap on top of the sign. Let me undo it for you so you can see. This is just a prototype, but you get the idea. You have a flap on one side. In this case, looks like a folded playing card. But on the other side is a duplicate of that sign that they're aware of. It's a magnetic flap, so what's going to happen when I turn this box upside down, I'll do this very slowly, as that flap closes and comes into perfect alignment, go baby, with the sign. So, you combine this with the Bruno Hennig illusion, you get a very convincing illusion of the item they saw through a clear box, descending, falling on a hand, but of course it was switched out with the Clarity Box. One of the things I like the most about the Clarity Box is the ability to customize it, and it's very easy to do. Let's take a look at the gimmick inside the Clarity Box. It is just a little piece of plastic adhered to the back of the box. We didn't put it on the box itself because we wanted you to be able to customize if you choose to. It's held on with just a little bit of double stick tape, so be careful, but pry it off and it will come off. And this is what's doing the switch right here. This is your double flap. So if you want to switch this, you can use some of the stickers supplied with the set and change the sign. But just remember, in its open state, you have the sign, you have the item, whatever you want the item to be. It could be a bill or a prediction. And then you would hear on the reverse the duplicate of the sign. So to clarify that, here's a gimmick I made up for a dollar bill. It has the dollar bill sticker, it has a portion of a dollar bill, and of course a duplicate of that dollar bill sticker. But let's say you're a mentalist. Maybe you don't want a bill in there. You could use a little sticker of a question mark. I'm doing this down and dirty, of course, very, very quickly, but you'll get the basic idea. A little piece of a file card, just cut a piece of a file card. Then you want a duplicate of whatever that sign is, and you can make your own art. It just has to be, 1 1/4 by 1 3/4. And now here's your little gimmick. It's going to switch out a folded prediction. Here, let's stick it in the box. If I got everything just about the right size, you'll have a nice little illusion. Here's your your folded prediction in there with a question mark. When the time comes, boom, dump it out. You've now switched it for a different item. When you put it back in the box, you'll notice when this is open, it's a little longer than the piece of plastic. That's so the item in the box will be canted. When you put this into your box, you can sort of put it where you want it to, but remember, you want that item canted at an angle when it's inside the box. That's what gives it a nice three-dimensional appearance. Another look you might like is to use these caution stickers, the security tape. Just put them all the way across, the box. We have enough to go all around, but then when you have the lid on top, you have a very nice, here, let me open it up for you. You have a very funny picture of a box that truly is to be used only in case of emergency. We could have a long debate / discussion on why the Clarity Box works. Of course, there's more than one element that makes it an illusion. The Bruno-Hennig maneuver is extraordinarily compelling. But the fact that it's a clear receptacle, that also adds to the elusiveness of this, because just as we are used to understanding the physics of an object falling, we also deeply believe that things that are transparent cannot conceal. Things you can see through can't hide anything. And once you know how this works, maybe you're starting to say to yourself, yeah, but there's this sign there. Surely people must be driven to that sign as some solution. Well, no, for a couple of reasons. One is the trivial reason, and one is what I call the deeper reason. The trivial reason is nobody is going to think that the item they're seeing, in this case a playing card, is going to A, vanish, or I should say transform itself into an exact duplicate of a sign, and then position itself in perfect alignment with that sign. It's just not a place you go. They see it, it goes out, it's compelling. But that's, as I say, the trivial reason. I think the deeper reason is we ignore signs. I'm not talking about when you're lost and you're on the road and you're looking for a sign. Everything, take a look around the room you're in now. Everything has writing on it. Everything in our world has writing on it. If we paid attention to every bit of writing that comes across our eyes every second of the day, we would go insane. It can't be done. So we have trained ourselves to ignore a lot of writing. So a little sign on an item, something that obviously is visible, is in other ways invisible. Here's a very simple routine you can do with the Clarity Box. Okay, I'm going to show you some card magic, but in case there's an emergency, don't you worry. We have this. That's right, you're in safe hands. A card is selected. Let's take one out for you. In this case, the 5 of Hearts. That card is then signed, and I will sign it for you. It would not be signed by the magician in real life. It would be signed by the spectator, but you're on the other side of a television set, so we can't do that for you. Drop exactly 2 cards. Very important to do that. You remember your card? Important because when you snap your fingers, that's when it happens. Oh, it's important that I fool you. In fact, I consider it an emergency. Oh, we have an emergency box. And even though they've been staring at this card the entire time, it hasn't gone out of their sight. You can slowly unfold this card and reveal the sign selection. That's the Clarity Box. Let's say you're still working on the Mercury fold. You have another few weeks to go before it's going to be good. You can still fold the card and do the Clarity Box. Here's a very simple way. Let's take it from the Mahatma control. Of course, any way you want to get the card to the top of the deck is fine. Mahatma is immediately you shuffle, and now that's where it is. They think it's a shuffle deck. We know the card's on top. One way to fold this card is a lot of people, because remember you sign this card, can feel the ink on that card. It makes it a little thicker. They feel the ink and they're able, yes, to bring out one card, your card. I don't know how to do that, but some people do. I'm going to have to resort to something a little more difficult, but also a little more impossible. You're now all ready to fold that card perfectly. Why? Because it's in your back pocket. What I did was very simple. Let me turn around. You stay there. I'll show you what I did. The card was on top of the deck. When I put the cards behind my back, that went into my pocket immediately. I took off the top card and then came forward with it as if, boom, there's your card. No, I don't know how to do that thing. It flies over people's heads. It's very bold, but now you're in a great position. I always like to busy people, so I'll say something like, okay, cut the deck. I'll look away. Cut the deck into 3 or 4 piles. I go like this, and as I pretend to look away, I grab the card that's in my back pocket, just take it out. You can't see it because I'm over here. And as I turn away, I now am in a perfect position. I'm staring right at the card. I can look right down at my hands and fold that card into quarters and be in position. When the card has been cut, let's say they cut into 3 piles ago, and there we have your, and there we have your, and there we have. You're wrong 3 times, but don't worry, you have your clarity box. You can say, oh, this seems like an emergency, and boom, out comes the sign selection, which you folded by staring right at it with your back to the audience. Ever see one of these? It's a gypsy bank. Gypsies keep all their money safe and far away. And if they happen to have money in their person, they'll always write their name on it because they don't want anyone else with their money. So do you have a bill on you? You borrow a bill, you have them write their name on it. Look, it says Pete, which is not actually my name. You fold up that bill, then you decide to show them something that every gypsy knows. You take out a handkerchief, you take their bill, you put it in the handkerchief, you say, this is something every gypsy does. If you've never seen it, you might fall for this trick. See that bill? I want you to hold the bill. You go to someone, you have them hold on to that bill. They can feel it in there. While they're holding that bill, you say, here's what every gypsy knows that you do not. You snap your fingers and go, it's done. What do you mean? Well, the gypsy's got your money. They feel, they say, no, he doesn't. So, believe it or not, far away in that gypsy bank was a bill. You hold that bill, someone over here holds the bill, they unwrap, and what do they find? A blank piece of paper. They unfold that bill that was in full view, and sure enough, you know, it's the signed bill. Just another little thing to do with the clarity box. For the simple bill effect I showed you, obviously you're going to use a gimmick made up with a bill. Now this can be any denomination, any kind of currency. We don't supply you with currency. Cut a piece, the right size, and affix it to your flap. Very, very simple. To attach it to the box, simply remove your old gimmick and in with the new. It's a very, very simple process, as you can see. You'll also need an opaque handkerchief, a piece of paper the same size as a bill, and the bill that's going to match your gimmick. Get used to folding a bill so it's about the same size as the bill in your gimmick. It does not have to be exactly the same size, just close. The piece of paper fold up in the same manner, about the same size. Have a bill borrowed, have that bill signed. You're going to perform really the only move in this routine. You saw the presentation. This is on the table. They're seeing a bill in the box before even a bill is borrowed. But this piece of paper is your secret weapon. You're going to sneak this into your left hand. Very easy thing to do when you go to get your cloth. You can pick up your piece of paper. It can be in a pocket, but they do not know this piece of paper is in your hand. Just, you can hold up the cloth like this. No one suspects you have an extra item. You're going to perform the gypsy switch. This is a very well-known switch of an item. The handkerchief goes over the palm. And of course, what's it also going over? The piece of paper in your hand. Well, you take the bill, place it in the center of the handkerchief, really right on top of that piece of paper. Let me show you the underside. Right now, it's going right on top of that piece of paper. As far as they know, You just placed one bill in the center of the handkerchief, but now watch my fingers. I'm going to reach over and pick up everything. I'm picking up the piece of paper underneath the handkerchief as well as the bill that they know about. I now turn over everything and grab the ends. What this has done is put the bill under the handkerchief. So as I tighten these ends, I'm really just tightening them on the piece of paper, which is now inside the cloth. I turn to the right a little bit, and look what my fingers can do. Very easily take out that bill. It's hidden from the back by the back of the hand, but that bill can be taken out. They will feel the cloth and think they're feeling the bill. They're really feeling the piece of paper. So you're way ahead. They think they're holding the bill. It's really the piece of paper. You have the bill, the signed bill in your hand, and now you can orchestrate the events any way you'd like. You can have them first look at the piece of paper, if you'd like, and they go, oh, what happened to the bill? And then you do your move with the gimmick. This is not a good angle, but you get the idea. And show that apparently that signed bill transported itself to your box. Here's a completely different use of the clarity box. So let's say you're doing mentalism. You have a little prediction in your little clarity box, and it's just sitting there in plain view. In other words, this now becomes an alternative for like the old gimmick bulldog clip or something like that. You have what you've done by hand, the ESP symbols. They can examine these. They could draw them themselves. You get all folded up and shuffled by a member of the audience. So they really don't know the order of any of these. So you say, here's what we're going to do. Here, we'll destroy them one at a time. I'll go along with my finger, and Mr. Camera Operator, just say, kill, every time you come to one you don't want.
Kill.
This one?
Yeah.
So we're just killing. We're going to get rid of this, whatever it is, right? We're getting rid of what? We're not using it. You sure? Okay. No circle.
Kill.
Oh. No star.
Kill.
Oh my gosh. No square.
Kill.
Wow. No three wavy lines. That's all of them. I don't even know what's left. Oh, I know. It's the cross, right? Right?
Yes.
You say, no problem. Look, in here we had a prediction. It's been here the whole time. Oh my God. Could it possibly be? It's a cross. And of course, it's a cross. Of course, this is a very simple effect done with classic methods, but with the addition of the clarity box set up to look like a folded file card. I have here a board. All of these were legitimate. It was not a force, but on the back I have a little index done with a different color ink. I have, in a known order, circle, cross, three wavy lines, square, and star. And for the traditional order, the circle is one line, cross is two lines, three wavy lines, a square has four sides, star has 5 points. So when I knew it was a cross, underneath the board I simply grab, can you see this? Slide out the prediction I need. I put the board aside, and now I'm ready to go. I take out the box. You have a very clean picture of a prediction coming out, a clear box that in this case, of course, is a match of an honestly free choice. I hope you love your clarity box the way I love the clarity box. And just remember, it's not a museum piece. Hopefully you'll keep it looking beautiful, but this really is a utility, and it's limited only by your imagination. Different things can come out of this box. All you need to keep this thing going is some tape, regular tape, and adhesive tape. If your little hinge breaks someday, just a little piece of tape becomes your hinge. If your gimmick doesn't stick to the back of your box the way you'd like it to, put a little double stick tape on the back of your gimmick. If you want to, you can tap it a little bit so it's not so sticky. And then I like to open up the gimmick, make sure I have my little angle, put it in the box, make sure I have the angle I like, and just stick it on. That's all there is to it. And to take it off, again, try not to bend the plastic, just work your finger under there and take it off. it's kind of nice that with things you have around the house, you can not only keep your clarity box in really nice working condition, you can also customize it the way you want to customize it. Remember, these little squares are 1 1/4 inches by 1 3/4 inches, and on the file with the DVD you're watching right now, you'll find JPEGs of some of these designs, which you can print out or make your own. It's really not difficult. Finally, how do you keep your clarity box clear? Well, let's face it, if you have tape on an object, sometimes that adhesive residue will stick to the plastic and it looks bad. You try to get it off with soap and water, it just smears. It's difficult. That's because you don't use soap and water to remove adhesive. If you get some little adhesive marks on there, you want to clean it up, use different products suited for it. They have a product called Goof Off, which removes adhesive very, very well, dissolves it. Or you can use regular lighter fluid. I've had this can forever. I'm saying like 20 years, and I use it just to take off adhesive, and it's still half full. Of course, if you're a younger person, do this with adult supervision. But what lighter fluid and Goof Off and other products of that ilk do is actually dissolve the adhesive. So it won't smear, it'll dissolve. You put a little bit on a paper towel, rub the part you want to clean, and your clarity box will stay beautiful. These are not made out of cheap materials. These are made out of a lovely acrylic, and because of that, as you clean it up, it'll stay shiny. It'll stay looking like a showcase. So yes, I enjoyed performing this at the Magic Castle and see magicians come back over and over again, because the end they just couldn't figure out what was going on when that came out of the box. But aside from that ego gratification, I really do think in the clarity box you have something with a lot of utility. It's limited only by your imagination, so let your imagination go wild. The Mercury card fold is a wonderful way to quickly fold a card into quarters. It's not difficult, but it takes practice. Get about 6 old decks and do what I'm about to teach you, and eventually, if you get through all those decks, you should be coming close to doing a nice Mercury fold. Let me talk you through the steps of the Mercury fold. First, it helps if your deck has a downward bend, a convex bend. So if this is your deck, by that I mean bend it a little this way. This will happen naturally if you do springs or pressure fans. The deck's going to bend that way a little bit anyway. It's going to help you do the move. More often than not, the Mercury fold is done with the deck in a face-up condition. So I go into the Mercury fold right after I control the card to the top. Let's say the Queen of Diamonds is the card. We return it to the deck, holding a break above it. Do the Mahatma control immediately, shuffling at the break, bringing the card to the top. But notice the deck's already pretty much face up. I leave it face up in the left hand in an unsquared condition. It's good to have the deck unsquared because you're motivating your hand to come over and help square the deck. It's during those couple of seconds that the Mercury fold is executed. The right hand comes over the deck and squares. As it squares, allow the thumb to come way down on that deck, about in the center, but way down. You're going to fold the card against that thumb. That right hand is going to remain stationary. The left hand is going to do the work of folding the card. The motive force is the index finger of the left hand. It's going to contact the outer end of that selection, and by moving toward the body inward, slowly start to bend it. You can see how that card's bending against the thumb. Of course, this is an exposed view. This is going to be hidden from the sight of the audience. When I perform the Mercury fold, I like to address a comment to someone on my left. If there's no one on my left, I'll address the comment by leaning forward. The point is to move the body a little bit, and in that larger motion, perform the smaller motion of the Mercury fold, which happens in 2 beats. Beat number 1. The hand is positioned, ready for the fold. The left hand moves inward as the deck comes down. The folded card butts against the thumb. That's all that needs to happen. Don't fold it anymore at this point against the thumb. On the second beat, the deck is going to be placed on that partially folded card. In slow motion, that's what happens. And I like to gesture at that moment, addressing a remark. The left fingers press on that folded card. Again, an exposed view. The deck would normally be down here. But by pressing on that folded card, you get a nice, tight fold. So, at regular speed, after that card is controlled to the top, you address a remark, you make a gesture, and it's done. The card's been folded into quarters. I find good practice to do the whole thing. The shuffle, as I direct the remark, as I make the next gesture, and now you can even practice the steal. Folding, folding, folding. Go through 5 decks, 6 decks. Keep going, analyzing what you're doing till you have a pretty good success rate of getting a crisp, folded card that's in quarters.